This week I'm going to be replacing my social media time with reading time. I have these 3 books which I'm hoping to finish by the end of the week actually. The social media I'm going to be avoiding is YouTube, Instagram and Facebook. Hopefully the combination of these books as entertainment is going to be enough to keep me away from social media without too much effort. I will take you along on the journey this week. I'm doing quite a lot of travelling and we'll see how it goes. It's 4 p.m. and it's dark outside. I'm sitting in my bed, it's very cold. I would normally grab my phone or my laptop here to watch or consume some kind of social media, but not this week. I've actually just had a bit of a pause on the fiction book I was reading because the sci-fi world was getting a bit overwhelming and quite tricky to read actually. So this is where it's been helpful that I brought a non-fiction book with me for those times when I want facts. I want to know things and learn things. A lot of the time when I'm using socials, I am seeking to learn things or improve my skills in something. So today, reading a book about periods, very on brand as I'm on my period right now. The past few days I've just been noticing the small moments in the day that I would usually reach for social media as a filler. It was actually quite a lot for when I was working. Like I would just open a new tab and type in YouTube as like a habit. Obviously straight away I had to be like, no, I've stopped myself from doing that this week. It felt wrong to look away from my work screen and pick up a book, but ultimately if I was going to be watching YouTube on my computer, I wasn't working anyway, so the distraction is just a distraction. It just felt less of a work distraction because it was on my work laptop. I finished work now, so I'm gonna read for a bit. So I'm about 5 days into this social media detox. I am finding myself craving content. Like even when I'm working, I was like, I just want to listen to a podcast. So I listened to a podcast because I was like, is this social media? Does it count? But it is technically content. You know, does the news count? Does watching TV count? There's so many parameters. It's just really interesting seeing how my brain is reaching for like input in some kind of like a fast, easy consumption way, and also in like a multitasking context. Like I'll be doing work and wanting something on in the background. Am I really focused if I've got this content going on in the background and I'm doing my work? Probably not. You know, I've still got 4 days and I'm like, I just want to watch videos from like the creators I love, and it's just making me realise how much of a part of my life it is to consume content and how much I expect it to be in my life and have it as this entertainment source. It is an entertainment source for me. I'm really struggling to fill the gap that social media fills in my life. Reading can fill the gap, but it doesn't fill those small gaps, because I find if I'm reading, I need to read for a long period of time, not just for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, because I think I can't get into the book enough in that short period of time. So that's where that short form content fills an entertainment purpose for me. But why do I need to be entertained for these 5-10 minutes? I don't know. I just finished the book. Nothing beats finishing a good trilogy. Scrolling on social media just will never ever meet up to that feeling. I'm just so glad I've dedicated the time to reading this week, because I don't think I would have finished this book before the end of the year otherwise, because it just needed my full attention. I did listen to some of it on audiobook on Spotify to get me going, and I'm not opposed to that method actually. I think just for a couple of chapters to get me back into the world, especially because it's sci-fi and it can be quite complicated. 1 week without social media, and instead I decided to pick up some books. And although I set the intention to read potentially 3 books in 1 week, I was travelling and turns out that sometimes just sitting in silence is nicer than consuming any kind of media, whether that's social media or reading. I did finish The Rosewater Redemption. I found the experience of reading one form of media as opposed to loads of different types of media really interesting, because if I wasn't in the mood to read this story or this non-fiction book, I didn't consume media at all. I did try and combat that by having 3 different books, but obviously I was only carrying one in my bag at a time, so that is definitely a limitation. What else are you going to entertain yourself with? In my case, my thoughts. I think what I lacked this week was dedicated reading time, that I need to dedicate time to read, to consume media, to consume content essentially, so that I'm not craving it in those small chunks through the day. I can still read books, I can still watch YouTube videos, I can still watch TV, but if I confine it to a certain time period, then it means that I'm going to be actually focused on what I'm consuming and not just being a passive user of that medium. I think that's something that I would like to try out, so I think I'll probably do a video about that. Yeah, let me know if you've ever tried switching out reading and social media as a substitute and what your experience was. Would you find that you read more on those kind of weeks? Would you read less because it feels less intentional? And yeah, see you in my next one. Bye.